high school number 11 in the eastern Chinese city of Hangzhou is a green, peaceful place to study. With its gazebo-like structures nestled among lush foliage, gray stone sculptures, and Japanese maples gently fanning placid lakes, high school number 11 is the talk of the town as the go-to place for up-and-coming students. Oh, there's just one final thing to mention. Powered by facial recognition and artificial intelligence, a surveillance system tracks high school 11's 1,000 pupils, informing teachers which students are late or have missed classes. While in the cafe, their menu choices leave a digital dietary footprint that staff can monitor to see who is gorging on just too many fatty foods. And reading all this, you might ask yourself, is all of this bad? According to the People's Daily, a Chinese state-run media group, all this is great. Identifying students' facial expressions can lead to performance analysis and improvement. And look, I know what you're thinking. Probably asking state-run media groups about their opinions on state-run policy isn't the most unbiased thing one can do. But these guys are far from the only ones. For supporters of AI development, the surveillance state is a near utopia. A land where criminals and miscreants are easily weeded out, where good behavior is rewarded and the bad one punished. Yet all is not well in this utopia we've built. When security is valued above all else, and achieving it is an objective worth pursuing at any cost, those costs tend to be significant. And today, I want to talk about one of these costs, about something that many of us are all too willing to leave behind in the pursuit of peace. Let's talk about AI and the death of democracy. This idea that technology favors tyranny is far from a new one. All the way back in the 18th century, Jeremy Bentham, a British philosopher with a hard-on for big words, coined the term panopticon penitentiary, a circular detention center with kind of an observation tower at the center, where the basic idea is that the inmates wouldn't really know whether they are observed or not. In Bentham's penitentiary, the fear of being watched is the most powerful tool of all, the biggest deterrent for misbehaving. Doesn't seem related to anything in particular. Regardless, as I see it, tyranny differs from democracy in one important aspect. In democracy, power lies in the hands of many, while in tyranny, power lies in the hands of few. In fact, liberal democracies are based on the idea that power must reside in the hands of the population. There are things that the state is just not supposed to know. China, however, starts from a different point of view. A strong, empowered state is a necessity in order to drag the nation forward. In China, AI-powered surveillance is almost a logical extension of what the state is supposed to do. And you know what they say, when it comes to keeping people safe, a little bit of repressing your political opponents goes a long, long way. Okay, so all of this sounds bad, obviously. Tyrants like concentrating power in the hands of their cronies, and what better way to do that than to use the fucking Terminator to repress your political opponents. And by the way, when I'm saying the Terminator, I'm being literal here. And we're talking about version 2.0 here. Anyway, that's a bit of an aside. Coming to the point at hand, this all sounds very bad, and the visuals I used in the beginning certainly didn't help. AI leading to the death of democracy. But is it true? Do we see this happening in practice? Does AI actually benefit dictators? For the longest time, we didn't know, because this is a really tough question to answer rigorously. How the hell do you get data for something like this? We didn't know until today. First of all, credit where credit is due. This article has a fantastic title, far above the lame, boredom-filled slob that other academics put out all the time. Second of all, this right here, this journal in which this article was published, is a very, very good journal where it's exceedingly difficult to publish your article. I know a man who sold his adopted son for a chance to publish here, and his article still wasn't accepted. With all that out of the way, the question the authors ask here is actually a very simple one. Do artificial intelligence systems help autocrats suppress political unrest? And to answer these questions, the authors did a very clever thing. They gathered data on two key points. One, data on political unrest. You know, protests, demand, threats, that sort of thing. And two, far more impressive from my point of view, data on procurement of face tracking technologies by these provincial governments. As stated by the authors, to observe the Chinese government's demand for AI technology, we use information on 2,997,105 procurement contracts, which contain information on the good procured, the date, monetary side, etc., etc. So this is a fucking rich data source. The authors then identify all the relevant facial recognition AI used by these autocrats using information from the central bank. Right, so with all that said, how bad is this? How deep does Skynet go? There is nothing inevitable about democracy. For all the success that democracies have had over the past century, they are blimps in history. Monarchies, oligarchies, and other forms of authoritarian rule have been far more common modes of human governance. Seemingly in agreement with this quote with Harari's fear, the authors of the AI-tocracy paper basically confirm what, you know, deep down we were all kind of fearing and expecting. First, they find that nothing in this world motivates technological development more than a desire for vengeance. As we can see in this figure here, and by the way, don't worry about the jargon here. There's nothing that bitches love more than jargon. Whenever there was political unrest in the country, these provincial autocrats, these provincial leaders, ended up investing a whole lot more in these AI security systems. In other words, when a Chinese leader noted that things in his backyard were a little bit noisy, he started spending more money, a lot more in fact, on facial recognition software to weed out bad apples. And weed out they did. In the second part of the study, we see that all of this kind of worked. We see that the procurement of surveillance AI by these politicians led to notable drops in political unrest after these purchases were made. AI innovation entrenches the regime, and the regime's investment in AI for political control further stimulates innovation. AI and dictators, fucking name me a better love story. I love dictators so much, it's crazy. Okay, that sounded bad, but what I mean is I like learning about the balance between dictatorships and democracies to see how things we kind of take for granted are less stable than what we might assume at first, and kind of what tips this balance one way or another. I like nothing more than reading books on this shit because it just feels like learning about the lore of reality, about what tips one version into the next. Also, make sure to subscribe. We are so close to 1,000.